Hey there, Coastal Bend. Chris Thomasson live at the March Madness NCAA tournament, coming to you from Birmingham, Alabama. The Legacy Arena right there behind me, and the Islanders getting set to take on #1 Alabama at 1:45 local time. That game can be seen on CBS, and it's an exciting time. We actually have a game before them as well. We've got 4 total in the day. At 11:15, it'll be #8 Maryland tipping off against #9 West Virginia out of the Big 12. So an interesting game there, 8-9. We actually have 2 8-9 games and then 2 116 games today, including, of course, the Islanders and Alabama. We also have the Houston Cougars here later on tonight. They are a 1 seed. They're going to be taking on Northern Kentucky. That game, I believe, is an 8:20 tip. And we also have the third game of the day is Auburn taking on Iowa in a 9-8 matchup. So you have all of the Alabama media here inside. You have all of the Auburn media here inside from the northern part of the state. So it is going to be a crazy atmosphere here in Birmingham today. I wanted to make sure to get here plenty early to get my spot because, you know, it's going to be crazy. It was already crazy at the shoot-arounds yesterday. It's going to be even more crazy here. You know, I don't know exactly what the NCAA was thinking, you know, putting Alabama and Auburn here. You know, Alabama, okay, makes sense. They're the #1 overall seed. They deserve, you know, a game, you know, 50 minutes away from Tuscaloosa. Auburn, a 9 seed, getting, you know, a home game in the first round. And then what's crazy is that if they win, Auburn, a 9 seed, would basically have a home game against Houston, a 1 seed, in the second round. That doesn't make any sense to me, but, you know, again, that's why I don't design the brackets. So, you know, still, it's going to be an interesting atmosphere. I think Houston is good enough to get past Auburn, even in, you know, what's essentially going to be a true road environment as well. But, you know, as far as the Islanders, they are excited. Talked to the new AD, Adrian Rodriguez, this morning at the team hotel. They're excited for this atmosphere today. They're excited for all eyeballs to be on them in Alabama today. They know a lot of people are going to be tuning in to see Alabama. So, you know, hey, maybe they can at least, you know, give them a little run. You know, it's a very large point spread today. I don't know if it's updated at all. I've got Quentin Martinez here, Caller Times. Say hi to the Facebook page, peeps, real quick. He gave me a ride to the arena this morning, so Quentin, thank you very much. He just got back from turning in the car, so I know he's got to go. Real quick, what are your thoughts on the game, you know, situation today?
Just they have to withstand the early surge. It's going to be a madhouse in there, and if they can, as long as they can stay in the game, you know, the tide's going to turn. The punch will be the underdog. So that's kind of the way the NCAA tournament. So make sure that they can stay in the game, you know, as long as they can. Just see what happens.
Maybe they'll get lucky and some Auburn fans bought tickets to the early game, so, you know, be rooting for the Islanders instead of Alabama today.
Maybe they can get more than 5% of the crowd because it's going to be pretty raucous.
Yeah, for sure. So Quentin, well, good seeing you, sir. I know you got to go get set up in the media room as well, but you know it's going to be crazy. I've already seen, I can't tell you, hundreds of Alabama fans here outside the arena, and like I said, their game's not for another couple hours. But Tuscaloosa's only 50 minutes from here, so you know the Islanders know. They know what kind of atmosphere it's going to be like here at Legacy Arena, but. You know, they're excited for the opportunity just to show what they've got against Bama. We see a lot of Let's Go. You know, Steve Lutz, obviously, he's kind of become a pretty popular figure. Obviously, not, you know, in Corpus as well, but you know, even just nationally, his name's starting to get thrown around. So we'll see what happens. You know, this weekend. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to do any kind of speculating. We'll just have to see what happens. You know, I'm like the rest of you. You know, I've heard some of the same stuff, but nothing as of right now I don't think is for certain. So we'll see how it goes. But regardless of what happens today, and even after today and the next week, it's been a great ride the last 2 years for the Islanders. Remember, this is a team that only had 4 wins in the season before Steve Lutz came over, and he did not miss on that transfer portal. He brought in almost an entirely new roster, and he hit home runs on 4 or 5 of those guys. And even coming into this season, the Islanders had all of their starters back from last year, but he brought in a Ross Williams. Owen Deese was injured last year. He came in, and his really caught fire near the back half of the season, and especially him and Jalen Jackson needed to pick up the scoring after Terrion Murdix went down in the Southland tournament, and both of those guys have done a really good job since then, both in the conference championship game in Lake Charles and then in the first 4 in Dayton earlier this week. I see someone said Islanders with the upset today. I will say, I was thinking about it because you had UMBC over Virginia a few years ago, and Virginia was the #1 overall seed, just like Alabama, but they were also playing 4.5 hours away from campus in North Carolina. I would say with Tuscaloosa only being 50 minutes away, that if the Islanders somehow were to win today, it would be the biggest upset in NCAA tournament history. So, obviously history's not on their side. It's only ever happened once, a 16 over a 1, but it has happened before. So, it's not, it would now no longer be totally unprecedented for that to happen. So, we'll just have to see. I think we might have a general idea in the first few minutes, like Quentin Martinez said. There's going to be an early surge in this game, and how do the Islanders respond? If they give up, say a 10-0 run, are they able to get a couple buckets back of their own, or does it become a 20-2 run or 20-4 run? You don't want to get that lead, because if you get down 15 or more to Alabama, odds are you're not coming back. It's not going to be Northwestern State where you go down 26-10 in the Southland Championship and are able to tie it up by halftime. That's just not going to happen in this building, in this atmosphere against Alabama. I would say that Nate Oates is too good of a coach to even let that happen for Alabama. So, if you're the Islanders, just come out, maybe even with a sucker punch of your own. Come out and prove to these Tide fans that you belong here and that you can hang here with these guys. And if they can keep it close heading into midway in the second half, then who knows? It's anyone's game at that point. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, regardless of what happens here today, this has been a successful season for the Islanders. They have not been in this round of 64 since 2007. They were a 15 seed back then and took on #2 Wisconsin. That actually, I was in college at University of Texas at the time. That was the first time I had heard of A&M Corpus Christi, because I remember watching that game against Wisconsin back then, and they were up, I want to say, about 10 on the Badgers at the half in that game, and then obviously didn't go their way in the second half. But I don't remember where that game was played or anything, but I know it won't be apples to apples today with this atmosphere here at Legacy, being like Quentin said, about 95% Alabama. But hey, maybe like I said earlier, maybe those Auburn fans will come early and be cheering for the Islanders, because I know obviously a lot of you back home are familiar with Texas and Texas A&M. Those two schools don't root for each other very much, if ever. Well, Auburn and Alabama are the same way. Their history goes back just as long as Texas and Texas A&M, if not even further. And those two schools do not like each other at all. So, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of rooting for one and the other today here in Birmingham. But it's been an exciting trip. It's been an exhausting trip. So the Islanders weren't expecting to be in the first 4. I think you could kind of tell from their reaction at the watch party on Sunday, but, found out Sunday night, hey, we're going to the first 4, so you got to pack up your stuff that night. We were on a flight to Dayton that next morning, so we went cross-country from Corpus to Dayton on Monday, then had, you know, media stuff there, shoot around and stuff. So then on Tuesday, we had the game, and they beat Southeast Missouri State. Boom, that night, 2 hours after the game, we're on a flight cross-country again from Ohio to here in Birmingham. We got here to Birmingham, I want to say it was about 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. Sorry, my timeline's a little fuzzy. Wednesday morning, about 1 a.m. And then, you know, we had media stuff later on that morning. I came and I was here for their shoot-around, Alabama's shoot-around. So it's been kind of a whirlwind of a trip, but, you know, it's an exciting one, and it's exciting for the university. Obviously, by winning the first 4 game the other day, they get a lot of money coming in. That goes to the Southland Conference and gets, you know, distributed amongst the schools. So that was big for them. You know, for schools like Alabama, you know, Texas, you know, they don't need the money, obviously. Like, getting that money from these wins is a bonus for them, but it's not essential to run their program. For a school like the Islanders, you know, getting a win like that the other day in the first 4, that could be a huge part of their athletic budget for the next year. So, you know, you look at it from a financial standpoint, and it's already been a huge win for A&M Corpus Christi just even getting here to Birmingham after winning the game in Dayton the other day. So, I'd say regardless of what happens, even say, you know, I hope it doesn't happen this way, but say for the sake of argument, it's a 30-point win for Alabama. It's still a win for A&M Corpus, you know, financially, getting that national notoriety. So, you know, we'll see what the program looks like next year. You know, there are a lot of seniors on this team. There's not a whole, you know, you still have to factor in the COVID situation. You know, these guys all got an extra year due to the shutdown in 2020, or at least, you know, the older guys, the seniors. So, you know, Simeon Fryer, DeLazarus Keys, you know, there's only a couple of what we call redshirt seniors, you know, the 5th year guys that, you know, have already gotten that extra COVID year. You know, there's a lot of other guys, Isaac Mushila, you know, Ross Williams, Jalen Jackson. There's a lot of guys that could come back next year, but remember, these were transfer portal guys that came in last year. Steve Lutz brought them in. They were not here under Willis Wilson. So you got to wonder, if something happens and Lutz does go somewhere else to another higher mid-major, you know, in the next few days, are those guys going to stay or not? You know, they were loyal to him. He brought them in, so, you know, we'll see. We don't know what next year is going to look like, but hey, you know, we know what this year has looked like. And I actually asked new athletic director Adrian Rodriguez this the other day. I said, you know, I didn't mention Lutz by name, but I said, hey, if a big-time coach leaves any program, say, how do you keep it going forward? And he said it's all about trying to continue that culture. You know, you got to make a right hire, and some guy that's going to be able to you know, try and maintain the guys that are here, or if needed, work the transfer portal again. You know, that's how it works nowadays in the NCAA. So, you know, if Lutz was able to come in and have the type of success that he did, coming off a 4-win season, immediately gets his team to back-to-back tournaments, the next coach could do it as well if Lutz does decide to leave. So, you know, it can be done, and we'll see what happens. We'll let today play out, and then we'll let the next couple days play out as well. And hey, a big note as well, Adrian Rodriguez wanted me to point out, he is actually, he was saying if, you know, the Islanders do have to plan for if they lose. It's not like an 8-9, you know, 50-50 game. It is a 1-16 against Alabama. So he did say that if they do lose today, he's going to be flying to Laramie, Wyoming today, later on tonight, to check out the Islanders women in the NIT tournament tomorrow night against Wyoming. So it's an exciting time for the University of Royce Chadwick's ladies. They finished as the co-conference champs. They were the 2 seed though, and so since Southeastern got into the NCAA women's tournament, they got sent. They got the Southland's automatic NIT bid, and so they're going to be playing at Wyoming tomorrow night, 7:30. Matthew, puppy needs a new family. I can't help you with that. I couldn't help you with that even. Back to But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and end it and get inside. We are about 30 minutes away from tip-off of West Virginia and Maryland. So might go check out a little bit of that game as well. Well, I appreciate it, Coastal Ben. Going to see you on your TVs later on tonight. Going to try and get on it at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock today. Just a reminder, the game is at 1:45 today and can be seen on CBS. We'll have coverage for you afterwards.